is my new 2022 Triumph bobber in matte ironstone and matte gray two-tone finish. Kind of a satin finish on the tank, matte satin. Picked this up from D&D Motorcycles in Pensacola, Florida. I actually had it delivered to me. When they picked up some of my other bikes that I gave them on trade, I traded a 2015 Yamaha SR400 and my wife's CBR 300. But I've had this out a couple of times now. It's pouring rain, so I can't do this outside and can't really take it for a ride to just show you. I'll do some helmet cam videos of it later. But yeah, working with D&D was great. They were awesome. I've been, kind of poking my head in their dealer on and off every time I drive that way for a couple of years now. I first, went and checked out a bobber there 3 years ago or something like that. And back then, this isn't a black edition, but there is no black edition for the 2022 year. You just get all the features on a black on the normal model, and you get a bigger tank. You get the 3.2 gallon tank. But this has the dual front Brembo, has the cruise control, has the blacked out motor, 1200cc high torque. Nice gauge cluster there. I enjoy that. Now, my only real complaint about the gauge cluster so far is it's a little hard to see when you're riding, so you more or less just have to get used to where the numbers are at, or at least I do. Maybe I'm just blind. But anyway, the fuse box and a little twin 10 tool are over here, under here. I won't pull that off right now. The battery is below that. D&D put a charge point on here for the battery, which is really nice. That'll be useful. I usually ride in the winter quite a bit. I'm in, North Florida, so for me, that's not really a, if it gets down maybe usually into the 30s at worst, maybe sometime into the 20s, so it's not bad here. But yeah, I really love this thing so far. I'm a short guy. I'm about 5'6", so I was really trying to find a bike with some good power, but that didn't feel like an extra heavy bike to me that had a really short inseam. And this bike really doesn't. In some ways, my 400cc Yamaha, because it carried the weight up higher, you could feel it a little more than you can on this bike. And even though, when you're coasting and whatnot, you can feel the weight a little bit, but for the most part, you don't feel the weight on this bike hardly at all, which is really nice. I was very happy with that. Plenty of power. You can, pull away on this pretty easily. Makes some good sounds. I really like the kind of throaty exhaust note. Even as stock, it makes pretty good sounds, so really happy about that. There's plenty of videos on these things out there now, so I won't go into huge detail about them. As far as the specs on the bike, I think it's a roughly 77 horsepower at about 78-ish foot-pounds of torque. So not plenty of torque. I will say it's a very smooth bike for me compared to what I'm used to riding. This is, your shifts are very smooth, very relaxed kind of ride, unless you get on it, and then it's got plenty of power. So I was very happy with this as an upgrade for me from what I've been riding for years. Let's see. I'm not really planning on doing any upgrades to the bike right now. I may do some small stuff later. I probably want to get a good quality seat. This is nice, don't get me wrong, the seat is plenty comfortable, but I'd like to get like a diamond stitch seat or something on it. That would be probably one of the minor upgrades I would do in the beginning. But yep, that's a sort of a very short walk around of my 2022 Triumph bobber in two-tone matte ironstone and matte gray. Go ahead and turn the key on for a second and show you the gauge cluster here. I don't know if my phone will focus on that, but there we go. And I'll flip through all the info options. RPM, need a clock, traction control, odometer, trip meter, miles per gallon, and then your estimated range. Fuel is over here on the left, obviously. This is your gear indicator. And then you have your ride modes, which is this button over here. And then you have on this bike, one of the things I love is that you have cruise control here. It's just kind of a one button cruise control. Really looking forward to making use of that. So, this bike has a full LED setup. It has ABS and traction control, which is nice. So the headlight is full LED. Let's see if I can turn that back on for a second and get you a look at that. So yeah, that is my 2022 Triumph Bobber.